And Doctor, thanks for being with us. I have to say, we've all been so hopeful about these vaccines and what it means and being able to kind of get back to the way life was before. But then I read some guidelines this week from the CDC, and it gave me some pause. The updated guidelines say that if you've had your vaccination, you should be okay if you're exposed to someone with COVID, as long as it's been 2 weeks since your last shot, and as long as it hasn't been more than 3 months since your last shot. So all of this waiting gives you 2.5 months of a grace period. That's it.
Becky, it's a sobering point, isn't it? I think the context, to be honest, is where we are in this moment in time. I think a lot of people, including many healthcare professionals, and as Joe mentioned, 11 million people who have received both doses, where we know that the optimal kind of start to your immunity begins 1 to 2 weeks after your second dose, Becky, that you have a lot more security. You're prevented from death with the vaccines we have. Almost 100% prevention of the severe illness across the board, pretty much, very close to incredible numbers. However, what the CDC says is that basically if you have close contact, you don't have to do that quarantine for 14 days. And I think that that's going to be guidance that evolves, Becky, as more and more Americans get vaccinated. I think we're in this in-between period, kind of to Meg's point, that even though if 1 in 3 people either are infected or have been vaccinated, that we still have enough opportunity in the other 2 people to promote the spread of the virus, particularly of concern with these more transmissible variants. The good news is that as the months go on and more people in your household and potentially another household like your parents or your grandparents are vaccinated, that can make smaller gatherings safer. And that is something to look forward to, because we've been holding off now for over a year, some of us, to see elderly parents or relatives with high risk.
What should we be doing right now? Let's assume you've gotten your vaccination. What does that mean you can go about doing? Can you stop wearing a mask? Can you do other things? Or do you still have to kind of assume that you could either pick it up or spread it to somebody else?
Yeah, we are waiting for that data, to your point, where we do believe that being vaccinated makes it less likely, Becky, that you give the virus to someone else. And there's early signs from other countries where they've achieved higher rates of vaccination that that's possible. But until we have more of that data, remember that manufacturers were not looking at that as a primary endpoint, just so that they could make sure they focused on those incredibly important endpoints around death, severe hospitalizations, which are highly effective. So we will, if you are vaccinated, I feel personally very safe that I'm not going to get sick. But Becky, I'm still wearing a mask. I'm still doing all those things we've been talking about that we are pretty fatigued from doing until we have more data that I can't give it to somebody who is not vaccinated. But let me give you some better news. My parents, who are completing their second course of vaccine, because I'm vaccinated, and after they get several weeks in after that second dose, I am going to feel more comfortable talking about any risks, because it's not 100% that they won't catch the virus. But I am comfortable potentially having a small gathering with them when we're all vaccinated together. So I do think that's the type of thing, Becky, that we have to look forward to.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.